Good morning, everyone. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Brandon Kruger, and today I'm going to be giving you a recruiting briefing on the Joint Communications Unit. But before I get into that, just kind of want to take a moment and tell you about my path to the Joint Communications Unit and kind of the process I went through to get here. So in 2014, I was sitting over on the other side of Pope Army Airfield at the Combat Control School, working as their NCOIC radio maintenance, and kind of remember wanting to apply to the Joint Communications Unit at many points throughout my career. And it was always something that I kind of just, pushed to the back. I had family things going on. I had school things going on. And then I was sitting there at Pope, and it came to my mind again. And so in 2014, I called Ken and Sully, the recruiters here at JCU, and I asked them, hey, how do I apply for the Joint Communications Unit? They directed me to their website, downloaded the applications package, filled it out, sent it off to them. And 2 months later, I was in selection for the Joint Communications Unit. I was fortunate enough to be picked up. And in June 2015, I reported to the unit, started the Special Operations Radio Operator course, and 6 months later, in December of 2015, I was a full-fledged unit member and reported to the line troops and started deploying in support of the unit and their operations. So the mission of the Joint Communications Unit. The Joint Communications Unit provides communications support for the Joint Special Operations Command. JCU conducts research, development, test, and evaluation of Special Operations communications tactics, techniques, procedures, and equipment in support of U.S. SOCOM and Special Operations Forces. So it's a National Command Authority asset, subordinate directly to U.S. SOCOM. We also liaise with a lot of other U.S. government agencies, a lot of DoD agencies, and partner nations to provide communications support. We are the only dedicated Joint Special Operations Communications Unit within the Department of Defense, and we are staffed by all four branches of service, to include military and civilian personnel. So this is a big mission statement, right? And it covers a lot of different things. But what I want you to get out of this mission statement is the fact that as a JCU communicator, you are the pinnacle of communications personnel. You are the expert. You are the subject matter expert when it comes to communications equipment and operating theory. So in the Joint Communications Unit, our communicators aren't just specialized on one piece of equipment, one system, or one theory of operation. We work on single-channel radio systems. We work on multi-channel SATCOM and SHF systems. We work on networks, servers, basically anything that could be communications related, anything that has power applied that makes data flow, that's what we work on. So that's everything that starts at the backbone infrastructure, whether that be a SATCOM terminal or a fiber circuit, all the way through to the user end device, to someone saying, hey, I have a problem with my laptop or desktop computer. That's what we do. So JCU communicators have to be the most technically proficient communicators in the Department of Defense. Our target audience. So who do we look for when we're looking for the best communicators in the Department of Defense? So we primarily ask three questions when we're looking for JCU communicators. Can they do the job? Will they do the job, and will they fit in? What does that mean? Can you do the job? Are you technically proficient? Do you have the mental aptitude and the technical aptitude to do well in this assignment? Can you pick up communications concepts quick? Can you execute them effectively? Will you do the job? Are you motivated? Are you the type of person that you come to work every day and you're looking to be the best you can be, and you're always trying to find a way to make your organization better? Because that's the kind of person we're looking for. Disciplined, competent, and confident. And then lastly, will they fit in? So here in the Joint Communications Unit, I'll just say it, there are specific personality types that work well here, and there are other personality types that don't. That's not a fault of anyone who applies. It's just what we've noticed through our technical aptitude screening and our personality and psych tests that we apply in the selection process. So what I will say in reference to that is if you are not selected to be a JCU communicator, and if it is based off of that will you fit in factor, it's as much a blessing to you as it is to the unit. Because if you're not one of those personality types, it's not only that you wouldn't fit in, you probably wouldn't fit in here, it's that you probably wouldn't like it here because it's not the environment that you do well in. So I just like to say that way people don't take that to heart. We're looking for people that are mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially fit. So we look at a whole person concept when we look at a JCU communicator, right? you can be great technically, but if you have a whole bunch of problems, financially or personally, this might not be the right environment for you. It might not be the right place for you right now because it's a high tempo, high operations unit. We move at a really fast pace. So we want you to be well-rounded and we want you to be healthy in all aspects of your life. Now you see that bullet point up there, we hire E5s and above with diverse backgrounds in their respective fields. That is true. We primarily look at E5s and above, but we have hired E4s in the past. So if you're not an E5, if you're an E4, I would encourage you to put in a packet if you're interested. The biggest thing I will say about the assessment and selection process is don't self-eliminate. Don't look at these qualifications and count yourself out. If there's something I've said here today that makes you think that you're not a fit for JCU, but you're still interested in applying for the unit, please apply. Please find out. It's not my job to assess you here. It's your job to come to assessment and selection and see if you'll fit in. And those are the career fields that we primarily hire from. So for Army, it's 25 series. Air Force, it's 3 deltas. Navy, it's ITs and ETs. And then Marine, it's the 06 series that we primarily look at to hire within this unit. We do have some opportunities for logistics personnel and admin personnel as well, but primarily we're looking for communicators. Selection process. So we like to start taking a look at our applicants when they're 12 to 15 months out from their rotation date. And so the way that it starts is you'll go to our website, www.jcu.mil. You can get a ton of information on the unit and what we do there. And from there, you'll click on the link to apply to the unit. You click on the link, download the application package, and fill it out. The application's about 33 pages long, okay? It's pretty intense. It's very in-depth. So it's going to ask you personal questions, name, date of birth, rank, branch of service, that kind of stuff. It's also going to ask you what your communications aptitude is. So for me, when I joined the Air Force, I was an RF transmissions guy, so primarily radio and SATCOM. So when it got to the section about RF communications theory and, PRIC 117s and 152s and that type of equipment, I was fairly confident. So when I got to that equipment and I started filling out that section, I could mark off that, hey, I feel pretty competent on these sections. You're also going to get sections on that application that ask you about networking, servers, and things like that. Needless to say, I was not nearly as confident on that section. So there's that section of the application that is, what communication systems do you know? It's also going to get into some personal details, financial history, family history, medical questionnaires, things of that nature. And then finally, you'll find a couple of short answer questions and some paragraph essay questions. Just fill it out the best you can and be honest on the application. You'll turn your application in to the JCU recruiters. They'll evaluate it, and they will send it to the unit's senior enlisted advisor for your branch of service. So we have an E9 from each branch of service that sits here at JCU and is essentially the senior enlisted leader for your branch of service. The senior enlisted advisor, also known as the C, will evaluate your package, and if they choose to, they'll select you for screening. You'll come on a 1-week TDY to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where you'll be evaluated in your technical ability. You'll take some IQ tests and some psychological tests. You'll sit down with a psych doc. You'll do a fitness assessment. The fitness assessment is particular to each branch of service. So what I mean by that is, for instance, Air Force, we will take the Air Force PT test. Army will take the Army PT test, and so on and so forth. At the end of all that, there will be an interview board. It's much like a job interview. So you're going to come into a room, you're going to sit down, and there will be members of the leadership team from here at JCU that'll ask you a series of questions based off of your application and other questions to gauge your interest in the unit, your technical aptitude, and your ability to serve effectively as a JCU communicator. Like I said, and like that last bullet point says, don't determine your own suitability for the unit. If you are interested in JCU, please apply and let us find out if we're interested in you. Above all else, do not self-eliminate. So if you're selected at the hiring board, you'll know at the end of the hiring board, you'll go in for your board, you'll talk with the chain of command, answer their questions, you'll leave the room, and then at the end of the day, when all the candidates have assessed and gone through the selection board, you'll all be brought back in and told of your status, whether you were hired or not. If you're hired, you'll go back to your home station and you'll start preparing to come to the Joint Communications Unit. So you'll start out processing, you'll complete some prerequisite courses that we require. So for those of you that are not 8570 qualified, you don't have your Security Plus certification, you'll be required to get that prior to reporting to JCU. Once you've completed your requirements, you've PCS to the unit, there's two different paths that you can go. So the first path, which is about what 90-95% of the communicators in this unit will go through, is the Special Operations Radio Operator course. For those that are interested, we do have a cyber troop. They are a direct hire program, so you will not go through SOROC like everyone else. If you are interested in going to the cyber troop, if you have an interest in Linux or coding, I would encourage you to self-identify either in the initial phases of the recruiting process. So when you submit your application package to the unit, identify then, or identify when you get to selection and assessment, and just say, hey, I'd like to try out for cyber troop. And there's an additional series of tests that you'll take while you're in selection to determine that. So the Special Operations Radio Operator course, it's an old title. This course has been around since the mid-90s, but we keep that title because it's an industry recognized standard. So when you decide to separate from the military, SOROC is recognized by communications vendors throughout the world. They know what it means. They know that that is a standard that few achieve, and it places you at the head of the pack for a lot of communications jobs coming out. So that's why we have the title for that course. Don't think that you're only going to be a radio operator. That could not be further from the truth. So it's an intensive course. We do 2 SOROCs a year, one starting in January, one starting in June, and they're 6-month courses each. It's required of all JCU communicators except for those guys that go to cyber. And it's about 6 months long, and it is a complete immersion into what you will be doing in the unit. So you'll study single-channel radio systems, multi-channel SATCOM systems, you'll do networking, and you'll do servers and Active Directory as well. And everyone's favorite part, you'll get to do some cool shooting and driving training and some tactical training as well. What I will say about this is don't worry about what your aptitude in these communications areas are, because we're going to train you. We have a state-of-the-art facility. We have incredible instructors that will take you from knowing nothing about something like networking and bring you up to what we need you to be. I always point to my personal experience. When I came to the Joint Communications Unit, I knew absolutely nothing about networking. The joke I always like to tell is I thought the internet came from the wall. But I went from knowing almost nothing about IP addressing and programming switches and routers. I went from knowing nothing to being able to program GRE tunnels in about 3 weeks. So I'm telling you, the level of skill of the instructors in this course is incredible. You'll also PT every day. So in the morning for about an hour, hour and a half, you'll conduct physical training as a class, as a group with your instructor. So for those of you that might be a little bit nervous about the physical requirements of this job, don't worry. There's 6 months that you'll have to get ready to pass the end of course PT test. As I talked about earlier, the JCU Cyber Troop is another option for those of you that are interested in coding and Linux and want to go that route. They perform like red team training opportunities for the unit. So they're a bit different. They have their own specialized 12-week course that deals with a lot of Windows systems, Linux, some cell technology, programming, and scripting. So like I said, if you're interested in Cyber Troop, please feel free to identify that to the recruiting and assessment personnel at the earliest opportunity. So now you know a little bit about how you apply for the unit, how you assess for the unit, and what your first few months in the unit as far as SOROC or the Cyber Troop training pipeline will look like. So why should you want to come to this unit? Why should you want to be a JCU communicator? So I can tell you the mission here is second to none. You will know every day when you go home what the effects of your work are, what the impact you're having on the battlefield is. You will see it directly. Training and certifications. This is one of the biggest selling points we have. So we are heavily invested in you as a communicator and you as a professional. So I always like to say, if you can dream it, you can justify it, you can do it in the Joint Communications Unit. So everyone here has an opportunity to attend Static Line Airborne School. There are opportunities to also attend Ranger School, Military Free Fall, Air Assault, Pathfinder, just about any school in the DoD that you can think of. We also have our own internal schoolhouse that's called the Special Operations Network Operations course. It's a continuation from SOROC, we call it SONOC, and those are additional courses that dive deeper into networking, multicast, servers, and Active Directory. Additionally, we will pay for just about any certification that you can think of. So It is the commander's intent that everyone here will be CCNA qualified. So, like I said earlier, I'm a 3 Delta 173, or I was a 3 Delta 173. So, radio RF guy, what do I need a CCNA for? Because I'm a JCU communicator. So when I got to the troop, I went to CCNA boot camp, studied pretty hard, and ended up getting a CCNA. Because here I need to know how to do networking. We're also willing to send you to CCNP, and we even have an enlisted CCIE track. Outside of the Cisco realm, we do CCNP or CISSP boot camps. We do VMware stuff. We do Windows certifications. If it's a technical certification and you want to get it, there's a good chance we're willing to fund it. Peers of the highest caliber. So if you apply to the unit and are selected and you come here, guess what? Everybody you work with had to go through the same selection process. So no one in this unit just fell down on orders. You know, nobody came here because they didn't want to. Everyone wants to be here, and that shows through in the personnel and the work environment every day. Special pays and bonuses. So up to $375 for special duty pay, depending on your branch of service. There's also airborne pay. Static line airborne is $150 a month. Military free fall is $225. You get a civilian clothing allowance here because you are expected to purchase and maintain civilian clothing. Everything from a full suit all the way down to you know, tactical pants and Columbia shirts, mountain hardware gear and stuff like that, because we do have a tendency to go to some places where we wear civilian clothing. We as JCU have a relationship with the Fayetteville Technical Community College here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that will allow you to apply the credits you earn in SOROC to an associate's degree. We also have a relationship with the University of Charleston, West Virginia, that will allow you to apply your credits from SOROC and that associate's degree that you get from Fayetteville Technical Community College to a bachelor's in information security through University of Charleston, West Virginia. Getting into the reasons that are specific to each branch, promotions and special qualifications. So for the Army, you're eligible for a meritorious promotion from either E4 to E5 or E5 to E6 after successful completion of SOROC. You're also awarded the Special Operations or S identifier after you've been in the unit for 24 months. And there are increased promotion rates. We like to talk about the fact that consistently our promotion rates here in the unit across services are greater than 60% for each rank. And then you're eligible for selective re-enlistment bonuses because you are a member of the Joint Communications Unit. For the Navy, a little bit different, but some good incentives here as well. So you're awarded NEC 9613 as soon as you graduate SOROC. We also here in JCU maintain our own Information Warfare Specialist program, so you can get your IW pin here if you don't already have it. We also maintain our own Expeditionary Warfare program here, so you get IW and EXW. Now, I just want to highlight something here because obviously sister service. So those programs are also open to joint service members. So if you're an Air Force guy and you're interested in, you know, trying to get your EXW or your IW, you can, because we control our own program here. Also, naval parachutists. So like I said, everybody in JCU is allowed to go to Static Line Airborne School. So if you're interested, you can earn your PJ wings as well. There is a very engaged Chiefs Mess here. They do a lot of activities, and then we also have our own CPO Phase 1 and Phase 2 program. And historically, there's 50% greater chance for advancement to Petty Officer First Class and Chief here in the unit than there is in Big Navy. For Air Force, award of the 318 SEI upon completion of SOROC, that's Special Operations Communicator Special Experience Identifier, and then the award of the 20 SEI upon 24 months in JCU. So that identifies you as having joint special operations experience. You can also be awarded the Combat Readiness Medal while here in JCU. That requires you to complete SOROC and be in the unit for 24 months on deployable status. As I already talked about, advanced certifications, because that's a big deal for us in the Air Force. You know, CCNA, CCNP, CISSP, all of those certifications you can get while you're here. We have increased promotion rates here in the unit for Air Force members. So that includes staffs trying to promote to tech, techs trying to promote to masters, and masters trying to promote to seniors. One thing that I always brag about is when it comes to evals in this unit, we spend a lot of time making sure that they look as good as possible. Even if you're not promotion eligible, me personally, I want all of your evals to look as sharp as they can, because then someday when you go up for master and senior and chief, those evals that you have here look just as good as the ones that you'll have going forward. And then lastly, we have a proven awards program here. We've had multiple winners at the Air Force, US SOCOM, and JSOC level for Lance P. Saigon, Information Dominance, General Jumper Award for Warfighting Integration. We do really well on the quarterly awards and the annual awards at the JSOC and US SOCOM level. So we're pretty hard charging. We're pretty good at winning these awards. And so for the Marine Corps, like I keep saying, airborne allocations. So everyone that comes to JCU is eligible to attend airborne school, SOF specific courses, and then advanced certifications, Cisco, CCNA, CCNP, VMware, CompTIA, the list goes on and on for professional and technical certifications. Support. So it's not just you that PCSs to the Joint Communications Unit, right? Like, I mean, you're gonna work here and that's awesome. But if you're married, you have kids, they're coming with you as well. So what can this unit offer your family? It can offer your family a lot more than the big service can. So for you and your family, there's a Special Operations Communications Association. So for the Air Force guys in the crowd, think of this as like your booster club, right? Your internal squadron group that puts on events, and things like that. So every year, SOCA is the one who puts on the Christmas party, and it's a great time. It's probably the best holiday celebration I've ever been to while I've been in the military. But while you're deployed, SOCA puts on events for your family. So they put on barbecues, they put on raffles, they put on events at various locations throughout the Fort Bragg area, so that your families have something to do while you're gone. The medical care here is top notch. So we have our own command docs and our own command medical staff. So if you get injured, let's say you hurt your back and you go to the doc, and in big service you're usually like, hey, my back hurts, and they say, all right, well here's some Motrin and here's an appointment for physical therapy. If you seriously injure yourself here, when you go to the doc and say, hey, I've really messed up my back, it's something that's not normal, is there any way I can get in for an MRI? They will do everything that they can to get you in for that MRI as fast as possible, and I'm speaking from personal experience. The J1 here, so we have our own J1 staff here at JCU. There's an NCO from the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy that covers down on your specific J1 needs. So whenever you need your records updated, or you need something administrative-wise, there's someone right here that you can go to. And they have a great relationship with our Command J1 as well. So what I'm saying is you kind of get that personalized service for your administrative stuff that you don't normally get out in big service. And then lastly, flexibility in travel with family situations. So one thing I like to brag about, and I think that this is a huge part of the support piece of JCU, is you guys with families have been deployed before, and you're downrange, and your wife is pregnant, and she's going to have the baby while you're gone. Here in JCU, if that happens to you, if your wife's pregnant while you're on deployment, we're going to bring you back home for the birth of your child, because we value family that much. We understand that when you make a commitment to this unit, your family also makes a commitment to this unit. So it is really important to us that you be here for the birth of your child. And not just for the birth of your child. It's not like your child's born and a day later we're putting you back on the plane to send you back downrange. No. You get to stay here for a couple of weeks and help your family adjust to the fact that you just brought a new life into this world. So I think that that's a pretty amazing thing. So that concludes my brief. If you guys are interested in finding out more information about the Joint Communications Unit, please visit our website, www.jcu.mil. Additionally, if you have questions and you need to reach out to someone, the information you're looking for is not on the website, or you just have a personal question and want to talk to a human being, please feel free to contact either one of our two JCU recruiters, either John Sullivan, goes by Sully, or Ken Willett. And you can see their contact information is right here. Thank you for attending, and hope to see your applications coming across the desk soon. Thank you.